Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Alchemy of Success. My name is Michael Leslie, and I'm pleased to be here with Carol Gader, a Renaissance healer, and let's find out more about her right now. Our speaker today is Carol Gader, a Renaissance healer. She is an experienced wellness and relationships counselor with 35 years of experience. She is a certified aromatherapist and a Reiki master. She is author of Dowsing Your Health and offers online and DVD classes for people to learn about the art of dowsing. She can help you find lost items, uncover your soul purpose, find your soulmate, and explore past lives. She can teach you how to use your hands to heal yourself and others. She has presented her unique knowledge at multiple conventions and conferences. Her topic today is relationships, living outside the box. Good evening and welcome, Carol Gader.
And thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Great. So, our topic tonight is about relationships. And a few weeks ago, we had a group of men talking about relationships, what they wanted to have out of them, what some of the challenges were. And I know that you've been doing some work in the relationship area for some time, including having your own workshops and seminars, courses related to that. And so I wanted to start off with a conversation you and I had yesterday in the evening, which was about the kinds of relationships that people could be in because of our social nature. So, what are some of the ways in which men and women relate to each other in relationships, and what are some of the possibilities they might have?
Well, the course I just taught was finding your soulmate and nurturing your relationship. That can go for whether you're in a relationship or looking for a relationship or just want a temporary relationship. We're all different. So one thing does not fit everybody. And being in a monogamous relationship for 80 years may not be in the mind's eye of many people. That's a long time. We never used to live that long. So there are all different kinds of relationships, and there are those who like to be what we call swingers. There's polyamory relationships. There's monogamous relationships. There's whatever kind of relationship that is okay with you and the society that you live in. So that's pretty much it.
Well, it seems that relationships, one of the constants in them is a question of jealousy, right? Sometimes, whether you're in a monogamous relationship or you're in a polyamorous relationship, jealousy seems to be a constant. And what are some of the ways in which people can deal with jealousy so that their relationships are not fraught with this?
Okay. Um, well, first of all, jealousy is, I guess it's innate in all of us. We feel that someone's got something better than we have, or that someone's got a more handsome man than we have, or woman. But as you grow spiritually as a person, then you tend to realize when you know that I am okay. I love myself, and you grow as a person. You know who you are. You know you're part of all that God is. Then somehow these things tend to fall away gradually. And it takes a great deal of working on yourself, accepting yourself as you are. And it doesn't come naturally. It's work, it's a lifetime work. And as you, Michael, and I know, and probably you too, Jason, that it takes time. And I'm older, as you are too, Michael, and we've been through a lot of things, divorce, feeling like it's your fault, and when it's not your fault, it's just learning, another learning experience. So, yeah, what else would you like to know?
Let's talk about how these relationships that we have an impact on our self-expression, uh, whether they're going well or not. There's an intricate energy, if you would, that takes place when we're wanting to be ourselves and when we're in a relationship with someone, for example, that really works, or we're in a relationship with someone when it doesn't really work. So a part of our self-expression is very much tied up in this. Maybe you could talk about the impact that a great relationship has and one that doesn't, that's not so great, has on our self-expression, our ability to be productive, our ability to even innovate.
Well, it makes a huge difference. The person you're with makes a huge difference. I know because I've been with a person that I love very much, but he had schizophrenia, and I thought I could deal with it. I thought I loved him enough. But after two kids, it was really a struggle, and I never knew he could be very dangerous when he flipped. And I lived in fear for many years, and finally I had to leave. And it was a hard time, and I grew as a person through all that experience. Never blamed him. It was not his fault. It's just an illness that many people have, and learning to deal with it. Well, I was young, and I just felt I had to get out. But a good relationship. Oh, and that can lead to depression. I mean, but the one I got out of that relationship, I had chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. I mean, it made me physically sick. And then when I met my present husband, I bumped into him in a doorway and something clicked right then and there. I felt the energy surge just like that. And I thought, whoa, I got to know this man. And he was single and divorced, and I was single and divorced. And it happened. And I'll tell you, when you find the right one, it's life is just amazing. You can take most anything if you have the right one. So it's not easy. It's you know, and there's something called how do you know that you have the right one? That's a big question. It takes time, and I'm telling you how I know. Some say it's the olfactory, the smell of the person. Some say it's the way they look. For me, it's the touch. When my husband now touched me, I knew. It was like no touch I ever felt before. It just was wonderful. I still love his touch. After many, many years, I love the touch, and we touch a lot because touch is a basic need that we all have. Everyone needs touch. But having the right person, back to what you asked, makes a huge difference in your life. And having the wrong one, you never feel you got it right. Is it my fault? Is it his fault? Is it her fault? Whose fault? It's nobody's fault. I'm telling you, it's nobody's fault, usually. So don't take it upon yourself and think it's your fault because it's not. And when you finally realize it's just the wrong person for you, that's all. Wrong person for them, that's all. And move on. And there's all the emotion that goes with moving on. But as you get older, you realize that there's life after that. So it's easier to move on. I have not had to move on because I found the right one, and we've been together a very long time. So hopefully that answers your question, Michael.
It answers my question and it opens up something else that we also wanted to talk about tonight. And that's the idea of what is it that people who come together, what is it that they're actually seeking and wanting in the relationship? You mentioned touch is an important thing, or at least it figured largely in your own relationship. And I think we want to know what is it that people are sometimes not getting, if you would, when they because that's people split up because of something that's missing. What are the things that make a relationship actually work, that keep it going, that feed it, that nurture it? What are some things that you found in your work that people are looking for, and how can they find them?
Well, there is a book called The Five Languages of Love. And everybody's way that they desire to feel love is different. And I find that this book, and I'm just going to hold it up so you can see it, it's by Gary Chapman, discusses that. And I'm going to use an example for you. Let's say that your way of love is just being listened to. All you want is your husband to listen to you. Nothing else really matters for you to receive love is other than just somebody to take the time, care enough about you to listen to you. But your method is gifts. So you go out and you buy, well, for a woman, might buy him a whole set of tools that she thinks that he might like, and he might buy her jewelry, which women like, or flowers or something, and he does it quite often. But that's not what she wants. What she wants is a man to sit on the couch and just listen to her. She has so much inside, it's boiling up, and she wants to share it with her person. And she can't because he doesn't take the time. He hands her a bouquet of flowers, and then he's off to whatever else. And so, learning the language that you need to feel love, and that your partner that you picked, if you've already picked one, what they need for to feel love. And I wrote down here the different ways that people show love, and this may relate to you. Some just need words, words of "I love you," "You are mine," I adore you." Love letters and notes are good for that person. Compliments in front of other people, quality time, as we just mentioned. That's what some people want, just someone to be there for them. They want to, like a man coming home from work, wants to share his day. Some others do not. And so, if this is his way of feeling love, then you need to listen to what he's telling you. And if it's receiving gifts, and you find that the person's bringing you lots of gifts, find something they really like and reciprocate with a gift. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be a special shell that is beautiful that you picked up on the beach. It could be anything that would say, I appreciate you and love you. Another way is acts of service. Some people are constantly doing for their partner. And that's a good way to show love. And some people need that. Other people, that doesn't mean anything. And physical touch. And of course, everybody needs physical touch. But if this is your big one, then, and along with physical touch goes sex. And the need for that is very different from one person to another. And if that's the way your partner wants to have love, and you are not that interested in it, it can be a real problem. And any of these things can cause divorce because they're not giving their partner the way that they need love. So yeah,
I'm just reviewing. There were five of them as I was
five of
trying to
them.
remember them all. Service, gifts, words, speaking, sharing, and a touch. That's
Yeah.
four. What was the one I missed? The fifth one.
Oh, let me see. Acts of service.
Mm-hmm.
Did you mention that?
Yes.
Acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time.
Quality time. That's the one that was
Yeah,
missing.
yeah,
So right, and I think that's really that's why I missed it probably because I'm often and as many other people, but I'm very much aware of the fact that I'm really caught up in my work most of the time. And then I find that when I'm not working, I feel like I want to relax or not be thinking about anything. It's kind of like I want to withdraw. and it looks like the time for actually being with my partner is not there. It's the last thing on my list. Let me put it that way. And I'm just beginning to see in this conversation that's something that's been missing, for her. So I'm glad that we were able to rediscover it again. I didn't hear that. Oh yes, time.
That's
Time
the
is very
way that she needs to be shown love. Yes,
yeah.
maybe.
That's brilliant. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you. I'll
yeah.
make uh, I'll make a note of that.
Oh,
Okay, so we've talked about.
might save a relationship.
Say again.
Might save a relationship, but you
Yes,
also need to know what ways you need to
yes,
be shown love and let her know so that she
yes.
can give you what you need.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk amplify a little bit is the sex part of this. So I think people place, at least in our society, and when I say our, I mean the U.S. society. I know we have a wider audience in the U.S., but a lot of emphasis is placed on sex. And I've come to, maybe it's because of age, it could very well be that, but I've come to see that there's a lot more to it than the sexual part. And the sexual part, as you said, is important. So maybe you can talk to us about what else is really valued in a relationship beyond the sex.
What else is valued?
Yes. Like, what
Yeah,
else would one be wanting to make sure that one was attending to? I know you talked about the love languages, but in a relationship, what should one be actually attending to beyond either giving sexual pleasure to his or her partner or receiving it as a demonstration or as a way of maintaining the relationship?
I think when a couple are young, sex is probably one of the biggest things in their relationship. However, as you mentioned, as one gets older, the need for sex diminishes, or maybe the ability to sustain the energy or the erection or whatever you're talking about is harder, but never stop touching because the need for touch is there. And, a good massage from someone you love, a good erotic massage from someone you love is just as good for women anyway. I can't always speak for the men, but my husband's older and he likes it just as well, maybe more at this point because he does have EG. And I think that a good erotic massage, or you know what he does for me that I love? He rubs my feet before I go to bed every night. If that doesn't say love, I don't know what does. I mean, I love it because I have feet problems, and this stops the cramps and all the problems I have in the night. I don't get them when he does that. And I know when he's doing it, he's pouring his love right into my body, and I sense it. And I just lay there. I don't want to be on my phone or doing anything else. I just want to be there and experience this wonderful feeling of him rubbing my feet and sending me love through his hands. So touch, as you get older, can replace sex. Um, I'm not saying there isn't any sex as you're older. Yes, there is, but it's just not number one or as often as it is when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. You and I are older beyond 70. So for us, it's a little different. But you younger people, you're going to get there too. And you better heed what us older people say because you'll get there and you'll wonder, what can I do now that I can't do this? What can I do that feels as good? Erotic massage. Absolutely wonderful.
Well, I agree with you, and in fact, I know that different kinds of massage are very satisfying, including erotic massage. And I wanted to also maybe we can go a little wider in our conversation and talk about the kinds of ways in which one might find satisfaction in a relationship that's not exclusive. what might that bring to the partners in the relationship if they were to experiment outside of what is normally said to be the appropriate way to have a relationship with someone else?
Well, first of all, we've been all carefully taught by the quote religious system. Now, I am very spiritual, but I had to let go of some of my religiosity because I could see it as confining. And we're in a new age of openness and understanding worldwide, or we should be. And there are many different cultures that believe different than we do in the United States. And there are probably people on this podcast that are from other countries. But when you're carefully taught that you have to have a monogamous relationship for however long you live, and you realize that sex was given to us as a gift from God to enjoy playtime with adults. It's just different than playtime as a kid. And sex is a wonderful playtime. I encourage you to experiment with it. Women, dress erotic, dress like a mistress, dress like a slut, put on makeup, do whatever you can. But it's fun and it's exciting for a man to see a woman. Wow, look at her. And also, it's a long life. And so, if a couple decide they want to explore outside of marriage, what's to say they shouldn't? Just religion, that's all. And if you're outside of religion and yet you love the Lord and you're spiritual, then sit down with your mate, talk to them, say, I would like to explore. Now, usually this comes from a man, but not always. I know a woman that wanted to go to a dungeon, and her husband looked at her like she was crazy, but he finally went and he had the time of his life. So I think that we need to be more open to realize sex is a God given gift, to explore, and it doesn't matter what you do as long as you have two consenting adults. If you're in a relationship already, make sure you discuss this in the relationship. It does not mean you do not love the person anymore. It just means that we need more excitement in our sexual relationship. And wouldn't it be fun to bring in an extra man or an extra woman in this relationship just for fun? And I think it's a great idea. I think we need to stop with all these taboos and realize that there's nothing wrong with consenting adults for most anything. So I would say just go explore and discuss it with your partner. If you don't have a partner, then go explore on your own. Find out what's out there.
There's on this particular issue or topic, I'm always reminded, and I've said it many times before, that Solomon had, I believe, 600 wives or and 300 concubines, or the other way around. But he certainly had an opportunity to explore more than have more than one person in his life, and it's part of his intimate life. And the way, as you rightly put it, the way we've been brought up is exactly the opposite. It should just be one person. I remember talking to, again, when we were having this conversation about relationships a few weeks ago, with my other male colleagues, I remember them mentioning also, and I remember also reading this, in fact, that one of the advantages of having several partners, or more than one at least, is that there's the possibility of the emotional, one person doesn't have to do all the emotional work for another person. There's someone else to talk to, someone to even gather ideas from, someone to give you input that perhaps the person that you are with can't give you, because all of us are in some ways limited by our own experience as human beings. And then there's also what you mentioned, also the variety. I think, as you said, if you live 90 years instead of maybe 30 years or 40, which was pretty much the norm in other centuries, then you might actually get tired of being with one person for the rest of your life. I mean, at least from the point of view of diversity. right? And your own growth. Your own growth would lead you to have more curiosity about other people, other ideas, other ways of living. So I want to, as a with that as a preamble, I want to circle back to the idea of how you find someone who is growth oriented. I mean, who's willing to move beyond what their society has told them about how relationships work or how they should be, and what one should be in a relationship. I should do certain chores, she should do the other chores. There's masculine work and there's feminine work. All of those things that we're uh, caught up in or limited by. Uh, how do we, again, find the person, and then maybe even how do we limit our, I'm sorry, unleash ourselves, unfetter ourselves from what we've always been, from what we've already always known, from what we've taught is the only way to be in relationship?
I want to circle back to just one thing you said in the beginning. You said some men. I want to tell you, women sometimes have 4 or 5 men. You think of men having 4 or 5 women, it works the other way too. Never thought of that, did you? I'm
Oh,
just,
I thought of it. I thought of it. In fact, the
no.
reason I didn't mention it, thank you for engaging me on this one. So I thought normally the women that I speak to, they'll say, "Oh no, that's what men want. We don't want that. Well, how can you even think that we would want that? We're not like you. We're different." So that's why came out of my mouth that way. I don't know too many women who say to me, "Oh, yeah, I think I want some other men in my life besides you." They usually say just the
Okay, let
opposite.
me let me straighten you out on one thing. When a man, and I hope it's okay to talk this way, when a man have an ejaculation, it takes them hmm, 10 minutes to get back to having another one unless you're 20 years old. It takes time to recover. And the older you are, the longer until you just lucky if you get one.
That's right.
However, women from day one, when they discover that they have this wonderful out of body experience, woo, and they can have more than one, they can have 15 or 20. I mean, they can keep right on and on, believe it or not. It's not just a one experience. So women are much more capable of handling more than men are physically. And so, because it's a man's world, and women are expected to be the nice little housewife and do everything prim and proper, and the men are the explorers sexually, that's been our culture. But I'm telling you, there are women who desire sex just as much as men out there. And if they say that's not true, that's a lie because the women I know all are pretty active and yeah, they're just super duper. When I first met my husband, he said to me, "Well, you've had a climax, haven't you? You were married 7 years." I said, I think so. He said, "You think so? What do you mean you think so?" I said, "Well, I'm not sure." "Ah, then you haven't." And believe me, I hadn't. Because a young woman takes longer to nurture and bring to that point, whereas an older woman can get there really fast. So older women get better as they get older, and men have more trouble as they get older. And that's something for you to men to ponder. That's why you see a lot of young men who are only 30 desiring 60-ish women. Probably never thought of that. But what helped to get you opened up to understand how important and wonderful sex is as a gift from God? We think that it was just there to have children. Yeah, it's there to have children, but it's there more also to enjoy. And so there are some organizations. Dog. I don't have one, so it's not mine. Okay,
Go ahead.
so
I'll kill it.
huh? You have
Go
a dog?
ahead. Yeah, there's a dog here, just joined this household,
Oh,
and so that's what you're hearing. And if he gets chirpier, I'm going to have to close my mic for a while you speak. So go ahead.
all right. All right. So, my son was in an organization called HAI, called High, and he so wanted his mom to go so that I would understand him. And because I love my son and we were always very, very close, I decided to go when he asked me. He says, I'll pay the whole way. And it wasn't cheap. I'll pay the whole way. And you go Friday night and you end up Sunday night. So it's intensive whole weekend. And you're up late and you're giving an awful lot of instruction and fun and exploring. And so I went, and because I had no idea what I was getting into, he didn't tell me. He said it's spiritual and sexual. And I thought, oh, I like the spiritual part. I don't know what the sexual. Oh, don't worry, it'll be okay, Mom. And so I said, okay. He says, okay. He was surprised. So I went, and my husband decided he was going to go too. So then he says, now you got to have a sarong. I said, a sarong? I didn't even know what a sarong was. He says, yeah, you got to get a sarong. I said, well, what's a sarong? Well, I can bring one for you. So he brought one, and then we got one for my husband because they wear sarongs so that their skin is exposed and they're open. They don't have fancy clothes. There's no makeup, no jewelry. You come just plain you, and you learn to love yourself as plain you and to love your fellow man. And there we also learned that sex is to be enjoyed. I always thought so, but you know, we have all these hang-ups, and that anything was okay between consenting adults. So if you finally get it, you realize, and my husband and I had been married 35 or more years at the time. And so we did do a little exploring, and it was wonderful. And you know what it did for our marriage? It created a much closer relationship, a much more loving, wonderful relationship. We're not doing it anymore. We're older, but we did it for maybe 10, 15 years. Um, Enjoyed every minute of it. And if people are looking for these organizations, I can send Michael a list of several organizations that you can go and you can sign up and go. They're very wonderful, loving, and you learn about yourself, a lot about yourself. They have a counselor at the first one counselor for every two people. And these are dedicated people who are therapists and wonderful people. Some are doctors, all kinds of people that are there to help you open up to who you really are as a person. So they're really wonderful. I would suggest you go. And as I say, I'm going to leave Michael with a list because there's quite a few out there, probably 8 or 10 of them. And you can pick most any of them. They're good. Some are better than others. But the one I went to was called HAI. I tried to look it up online, and there were so many by that I couldn't even find it. So I'll have to find the direct link for that because I couldn't just looking it up. Um,
Okay,
so that's how what would help, I think, people.
good. And I'll make sure that I drop those into our uh, this YouTube channel, and also probably into like Facebook and the other social media platforms I'm on once I have those from you. So thank you. Uh, I, okay, good. So now we get into the part that is fascinates me also about you, and that's the idea that you're using a technique called dowsing to help people solve a variety of problems. In the context of our conversation, maybe to help them I think, as I understand it, to vibrate with the energies of the person that's appropriate for them, based on the characteristics that they're seeking in a person. And maybe you can talk about dowsing, how it works, and how it can be used to help us identify perhaps a potential, if not lifetime partner, at least someone we want to be with now in space and time.
Yes, I just taught a 3-month course on that once a month, and then I gave them homework to do. And dowsing is an ancient science and art of finding anything. You think of it as these men that go out and find water with a fork stick. I actually have L rods here, and I could show you one of my L rods. Here it is. And these I just point in the direction and say, where is the water? Well, it would probably go right through my pipes in my house. It is. It's going right through my pipes in my bathroom. So when I am out in the field and I have found hundreds and hundreds of wells, and I hold this up, I put everything, just a minute, I'm going to back up. Everything has vibration and energy, and everything on the planet has a different vibration. We're all unique. That tree that we see behind you, that has a certain energy and vibration. So does the water. So do you. So does cement. So does a cat or your dog. We all have a different vibration. So all a dowser does is put the energy vibration in their third eye, and then they say, where is, and if you just ask for water, it would go to the nearest puddle or my pipes here. But if you ask for drinking water, and I always have in my mind's eye, I see myself with a glass of water that is potable and good to drink, not full of lead or iron or sulfur or all the things that do sometimes come in water. And I put my rod up and it will point right in the direction. And then I walk in that direction. And when I get there, I have two somewhere here. When I get to where it is, my two rods will open up like that and show me where the stream is, and I work from that. So if you can do that with water, you can do that with anything. So I have found cats and dogs, people. I have found keys. I have found lost heirloom jewelry for people, gold bonds, all kinds of things that people want. And yes, I have to charge because it takes a lot of energy and work, believe it or not, when you're dowsing a lot. And so I teach classes on karma. I teach classes on finding your soulmate. And in that one, I have a chart. I meant to have it out here. I have a chart. And on the chart has all the personality types that you want. You want someone to be trustworthy, to be honest, to be caring, to be self sufficient. All these things that you want, you should have written down anyway on your little list when you're looking for someone. Because then when you douse this person that maybe you met and you dated a few times, but you didn't let yourself get serious because you're not sure yet, then you douse it. Yes, you were going to ask a question. Go right ahead.
Well, that's exactly what I'm wanting to know more graphically about. So, how do you douse a person in order to find a person of the characteristics that you're seeking as your companion? How do you actually do that?
Okay, so first of all, you got to put yourself out there where people are. So you've got to either join a site or you've got to, there are a lot of dating, speed dating. People introduce you to someone. You have to know someone first, and then you say, okay, is this person right for me? After you kind of like them, then you take the chart and you douse the personality that they have. How do you do that? Remember, I just talked about energy, frequency, vibration. You tune into their vibration. How do you do that? You go to your higher self, which is connected to God or all there is all the time, that has all the answers in the universe. The people that are drawn to dowsing are scientific minded people. So you go to your higher self and you put a picture of that person in your third eye, the person you're wanting to ask about, because that's the way you tune into their vibration, by putting them in your mind's eye, seeing them right in front of you. And then you douse, is this person and the things that you want trustworthy? We also have a chart. Does this person have something that I should know about? Alcoholism, smokes, avid smoker, um, can't seem to make a living, wants someone just to take care of them. You don't want that, and so forth. All these things that you really don't want, and you don't know often until it's too late, and you're so in love, you figure, oh well, it will work out. Doubt it.
So does so when you're dowsing this person, so let me recap. So you go into meditative state, you
Right.
connect with your higher self, and I presume, and then you you ask the question: does this person that you're having in mind have these characteristics, or whether they're good or bad? But you're asking about each one of them. Now, at the same time, you're asking that question to your higher self. You're holding the dowsing rods in your hands. And what are
I
the
use the
dowsing?
pendulum
Oh,
for that.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I use the pendulum because the half chart, I probably should pull one out of my file. If you want to give me a minute, I could. And then you set this on the center of the chart, and then you just say, show me which attribute is the biggest or most important in this person that's his highest. And it might go to trustworthy. This person's best asset is he's very trustworthy. That's a good asset. And of
Yes,
course,
now
yeah,
we're good. So now you ask the question, you're holding your pendulum, right? And when you ask the question, is this person trustworthy? What does the pendulum do?
well, if you want to just ask one thing, is this person trustworthy? You can get a yes or no. So first you have to learn to dowse. So you go on my website, dowsingwebinars.com. You take the free classes. I've got 2 or 3 free classes. I've got one that explains it all. And then I've got a couple of free classes, and you can make your own pendulum. You don't need to spend any money. You can go there and learn for free. I think I've got them up on YouTube too, under Carol Gader, and learn how to use a pendulum. And then once you learn how to use a pendulum, then you can use charts, and you don't have to go through every personality aspect and ask yes or no, which takes time. You just take the chart, which has all the attributes on it, and you say which is most the best one this person has, and it will go to that one first, and then which
Okay.
is the next. Honestly.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You've given me an idea. So
Okay.
here's what we're going to do, audience. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to have Carol go and get one of these charts. I'm fascinated now by the idea of what this actually looks like in practice. And so we'll listen. For some of you who have just joined us, we're with Carol Gader. You'll find out a little bit more about her while we're on our break.
Take me
And
about 1 minute.
yeah, we'll bring back her.
One
She'll
chart.
come back with the chart, and we'll continue our conversation.
Okay.
After our extended break, we're back.
Okay.
We were having a conversation about the charts that you use in this dowsing process, and you were going to show us the charts and perhaps give us a little more information about
All
how it
right.
works.
The first one is called a positive personality chart. Now you see that's a chart. It's a half circle, and you put your dowser. I'm trying to get it so that it will show the best there, and you put your pendulum. I'm going to grab it here, right in the center. And of course, you're trying to find the center on screen, and then you
Hmm.
start it swinging, and then you ask which of these personality traits is the strongest on this person. And these are a sense of humor, which we would like. They're cooperative. They have integrity, decisiveness. They self love, meaning they love themselves. they have tolerance, and so forth. And so you can find out their personality when you get part way, because they're not going to tell you, oh, I am this and I am that. They're not going to tell you any of that. So if you go together long enough, but once the hormones hit in and you get very involved in sex and the emotions, then it's very hard to then break it off. And then there's a lot of trauma that goes with that. And here's a negative personality traits: they're aggressive, they're argumentative, critical, opportunist, they're fearful, intense, hostile, judgmental, and so forth. And these are things that you ought to know ahead. Do you want them or don't you? There we
Okay.
go.
I think so. I think I've got the idea now. So the pendulum would swing in the direction
And
of one of those things in the chart. Yes.
then
So it
you
goes.
put the person in your mind's eye
Mm-hmm.
during meditation. Remember, you're always going to your higher self first.
Mm-hmm.
There's protection always in going to your higher self for dowsing. You just don't willy nilly pick up a dowser and ask the questions. There's as
Mm-hmm.
much stuff on the other side of what I call the veil as there is in the physical. We all know that there's non physical stuff out there, and there's physical stuff. I think everybody knows that at this point. And so you just don't want to tip into a willy nilly anything out there in the ethers. You want to
I got.
tap into your higher self, which is always safe.
Okay. We've been talking to Carol Gader, and this has been more one of the more unusual interviews that I've had during the time that I've been podcasting. And she's been talking about ways in which we can find out and access the characteristics of people in a relationship. She's also talked about how we can explore beyond our boundaries or our current limitations of what we think relationships we could have in life and what they might be about. And then she's also talked about how we might begin a process of transforming ourselves, right? So that we're more open to new possibilities. Um, Carol, as we're coming to a close on this particular podcast, there's one thing that I would want you to share with us on the relationship topic. So, what is it that we're in a wide range of ages here? What is the one thing that you feel that people don't understand about relationships? That if they actually understood it, it would make it a lot more likely that they would succeed in having the one of their dreams.
It's not about you. It's not about you. Remember, in a relationship, you think it's all about you when you're young. It's not. It's about the other person. And if you please the other person, that doesn't mean you give up what you need, but you please them, you help them, then you will feel satisfied, because then you will be able to say, this is what I need in our relationship. Some people have sex once a month, some people every day. There's such a wide variety to our wants and needs. And it's better to find out before you make a committed relationship, what the needs of the other person is. So it's about them finding out what they need and want. You know what you need and want. You don't know what they need and want. So if you always think of the other person and listen carefully. And I just wanted to mention I do have a book. And if you want to get the book, Dowsing Your Health, and it covers a lot of range of this stuff, not sex, but a lot of stuff. You can go to my website. Does that
Yes,
answer the question?
it does. And could you actually give us the name of your website again, where we can find out all the services that you offer in the
I
relationship
have
area and
I have
beyond?
several websites, but from two of them you can go to any of the others. So the dowsingwebinars.com. So it's www.dowsingwebinars.com or GatorFamilyWellness.com. Either one of those. And you just click to the dowsing or click to the wellness, and it will take you right over to the other site. I have a lot of free stuff there for you. I have stories, dowsing stories, because dowsing is magical and fun. And I have a lot of crazy stories that'll make you laugh and some make you wonder. But that's okay. Good to wonder.
Great. Again, Carol, again, thank you for joining us tonight.
It's been a
Um,
pleasure.
it's been a wonderful experience. And for those of you who missed a segment of it, well, it's available or will be available on Spotify, on Apple, and other places. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye bye, Carol.
Thank you for watching the Alchemy of Success podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week.